the colony that vanished without a trace. In the quiet expanse of coastal North America, there once existed a small settlement known as Roanoke. It was a place where hope mingled with uncertainty, and dreams were both nurtured and tested by the untamed wilderness that surrounded it. The story begins in the late 1500s when a group of settlers from England arrived on these shores, eager to carve out a new life for themselves in what they hoped would become a thriving colony. Among them was John, a skilled carpenter whose hands could shape wood into sturdy structures, and Mary, a herbalist who knew the secrets of plants and their healing properties. There was also Thomas, a young man barely out of his teens whose curiosity about the new world was matched only by his courage. Before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from and what time is it there? The journey across the Atlantic had been long and arduous, with storms that threatened to capsize their ship and supplies dwindling faster than anticipated. Yet, when they finally set foot on Roanoke Island, there was an air of excitement mixed with trepidation. The land was lush and green, teeming with life, yet it was also unfamiliar and unpredictable. As they began to build their homes and fortify their position, they felt a sense of accomplishment, but also a deep awareness of the challenges ahead. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Life in Roanoke was hard, but not without its moments of joy. The settlers worked tirelessly under the blazing sun, their faces glistening with sweat as they planted crops, constructed buildings, and forged tools. At night, they gathered around flickering campfires, sharing stories of their homeland and dreams of the future. Laughter echoed through the stillness of the forest, and for a brief time, it seemed as though they might truly make this strange new world their home. However, relations with the native tribes were complex. While some encounters were friendly and led to exchanges of knowledge and goods, others were fraught with tension and misunderstanding. The settlers tried to bridge the gap, learning bits of the local language and customs, but mistrust lingered beneath the surface. Despite these difficulties, they pressed on, determined to establish a foothold in this vast and uncharted territory. Then came the day when everything changed. A supply ship was overdue, and the governor of the colony, Walter, decided to return to England to procure much-needed provisions. He left behind a small group of settlers, promising to return as quickly as possible. Before departing, he instructed them to leave a message if they were forced to move. They agreed upon a plan. Should they relocate, they would carve the name of their destination into a tree or post. With heavy hearts but hopeful spirits, the settlers waved farewell to their leader, watching as his ship disappeared over the horizon. Months passed, and then years. The settlers waited patiently at first, maintaining their routines and tending to their needs. But as time dragged on and no ships appeared on the horizon, worry began to creep in. Supplies grew scarce, and the once bustling colony fell silent. Still, they held on to hope, carving messages into trees and marking their presence in case rescuers arrived. One fateful morning, the colony awoke to find something amiss. Footsteps echoed through the dirt paths, but no one could be seen. Tools lay abandoned mid-task, as if their owners had simply vanished into thin air. The eerie stillness was unsettling, and a chill ran down the spines of those who remained. Had they been attacked? Had they chosen to leave en masse? No one knew for certain. Among the final remnants of their existence was a single clue etched into a wooden post: Croton. It was a word that sent shivers down the backs of those who read it. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island and a tribe known to inhabit it. Did it mean they had moved there willingly, or had they been taken against their will? Years later, when a relief expedition finally reached Roanoke, they found nothing but empty fields and ghostly echoes of what had once been. The colony had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions and theories. Some speculated that they had integrated with the Croatoan tribe, while others believed they had perished due to disease, starvation, or conflict. Still, others whispered of darker forces at play, of curses or supernatural events that defied explanation. As the sun sets over Roanoke Island today, Casting long shadows across the landscape, the mystery lingers like a haunting melody. Who were the people who lived here? What drove them to disappear so completely? And why does their story continue to resonate through the ages? For John, Mary, and Thomas, the answers may have been lost to time, but their legacy endures. In the rustle of leaves and the whisper of winds, their voices can almost be heard, calling out from a past that refuses to be forgotten. Their tale serves as a reminder of the fragility of human endeavor and the enduring power of mystery. Pause. The ship found adrift with no one on board. On a quiet morning in the Gulf of Mexico, just as the sun began to rise over the horizon and paint the sky with hues of orange and pink, an unusual event unfolded. The USS Horizon Voyager, a well-known cargo vessel registered in the United States, was discovered adrift off the coast of Louisiana. The weather that day was calm, with only a gentle breeze ruffling the surface of the water. It seemed like any other ordinary day for sailors who had spent years navigating these waters. However, what awaited the Coast Guard crew when they boarded the ship would leave them stunned. The first responders arrived at 7:15 a.m. local time after receiving an anonymous distress call through maritime channels. Lieutenant James Carter led the team aboard the massive vessel. As his boots clanked against the metal deck, he noticed something immediately odd. The entire ship was eerily silent. Normally, ships this size hummed with activity from engines running or crew members moving about their duties. But here, there was nothing but an unsettling stillness. Carter radioed back to headquarters. "We're on board now. Something doesn't feel right." His voice carried a note of concern. Pausing briefly before continuing further exploration, he ordered his team to split up while maintaining communication via radios. Each member moved cautiously down corridors lined with closed doors and past empty workstations where papers lay scattered across desks as though abandoned mid-task. Inside the bridge, they found all navigational systems functioning properly yet unmanned. Charts were spread out neatly alongside coffee cups, left half empty near control panels. Everything appeared normal except for one glaring fact: there wasn't a single soul present among the expected complement of 25 crew members. Moving deeper into the interior sections of the ship revealed more clues but no answers. In the dining hall, trays of food sat untouched on tables arranged for breakfast service. Silverware gleamed under overhead lights as if waiting patiently for its owners to return. Downstairs in the sleeping quarters, beds remained unmade. Personal belongings such as photographs, books, and clothing items strewn carelessly around rooms, suggesting haste during departure. Yet, despite these signs pointing towards recent human presence, not a trace of anyone could be found anywhere on board. By noon, search efforts expanded beyond the confines of the ship itself. Helicopters scoured surrounding waters, while divers checked beneath the hull for possible hiding spots or evidence submerged below decks. Meanwhile, forensic specialists carefully documented every detail inside, hoping to piece together what might have happened. They noted strange patterns etched onto some bulkhead walls, resembling symbols neither sailor nor expert could identify. These markings puzzled everyone involved even further, adding layers of mystery atop already baffling circumstances. Back ashore later that evening, investigators gathered data collected throughout the day, trying desperately to make sense of it all. Interviews conducted with port officials confirmed the last known location of the Horizon Voyager prior to disappearing had been Galveston, Texas, several days earlier. Records showed nothing unusual reported by either captain or officers regarding mechanical failures, pirate threats, or adverse weather conditions capable of causing such sudden evacuation without warning. Furthermore, lifeboats attached to davits remained secure, indicating abandonment hadn't occurred conventionally either. As darkness fell once again over New Orleans harbor area, where Investigation Command Center operated temporarily, theories swirled amongst professionals ranging from supernatural explanations involving sea monsters straight-out folklore tales told generations ago along coastal communities, scientific hypotheses concerning advanced alien abduction scenarios inspired perhaps too much science fiction literature consumption recently. Simple, albeit improbable accidents involving mass drowning incidents, do unknown freak accident within enclosed spaces deep within bowels of steel leviathan, cutting off escape routes, leaving no survivors behind, able tell story firsthand afterward. Days turned into weeks, then months, as leads dried up faster than new ones emerged. Public interest waned somewhat, though dedicated individuals continued pursuing truth tirelessly. Among them included marine historian Dr. Emily Thompson, whose fascination with maritime mysteries drove her relentless pursuit, uncovering secrets hidden beneath waves, covering vast oceans, covering planet Earth. Her research delved deeply into historical accounts, similar occurrences dating centuries past, comparing notes, patterns emerging, suggesting possible connections, linking cases separated, great distances, time periods alike. Meanwhile, families affected directly waited anxiously, news regarding fate, loved ones lost aboard mysterious voyage, never completed officially recorded logs, history books forever marked, question marks, end entries describing journey, USS Horizon. Voyager started innocently enough, sunny spring morning, eventually becoming infamous, enigma haunting imaginations worldwide long after original events faded. Memory, common people living everyday lives, unaware a larger picture playing out. Silently unfolding backdrop, daily routines, mundane existence, contrast, stark reality, encountered those brave souls, dared venture unknown depths. Seeking answers, ultimately remaining elusive, grasp, mere mortals bound, earthbound limitations, comprehension, understanding beyond reach. Mortal minds, confined material realm, physical senses fail, perceive truths, existing, parallel dimensions, invisible sight, naked eye alone. It was a crisp autumn morning in Seattle, Washington. The air carried the scent of pine trees and wet earth as the sun peeked through scattered clouds. At SeaTac International Airport, passengers were boarding Flight 305 bound for Chicago. Among them was a man in his early 30s with an unassuming demeanor. He wore a dark jacket, jeans, and boots that seemed perfectly ordinary for the season. His face betrayed no signs of anxiety or excitement as he took his seat near the back of the plane. The flight attendants moved efficiently about their duties, offering pre-flight refreshments while ensuring all safety protocols were followed. Passengers chatted casually, some engrossed in books or magazines. The atmosphere inside the cabin was calm and routine, just another day in commercial aviation. Little did anyone know how this seemingly mundane journey would soon become one of the most mysterious events in American history. As the Boeing 727 ascended into the sky at around 10 o'clock in the morning, everything appeared normal. Then, approximately 30 minutes after takeoff, the man handed a note to one of the flight attendants. She glanced at it quickly before handing it back, thinking it might be a joke or prank. But when he insisted she read it thoroughly, her expression shifted from curiosity to alarm. The message demanded ransom money, along with several parachutes. This revelation sent shockwaves throughout the crew, but they maintained composure, adhering strictly to protocol under such circumstances. Upon landing at another airport where authorities had been alerted by then, bags filled with cash totaling $20,000 were delivered on board according to instructions given by the hijacker. Meanwhile, military jets shadowed the aircraft closely during its maneuvers across state lines, an eerie reminder of heightened tensions surrounding what unfolded above ground level. Once airborne again towards Mexico City, as per demands made earlier, something unexpected happened. Near Portland, Oregon's airspace, the hijacker lowered the stairs located at the rear exit door, despite adverse weather conditions outside, including strong winds and heavy rain showers pelting against metal surfaces audibly. Without hesitation, he leapt out into oblivion, carrying only one parachute strapped securely onto himself, plus bundle containing part of stolen funds wrapped tightly within layers, protecting against elements awaiting him below. Hours passed without any sign of recovery efforts succeeding, despite extensive searches conducted over vast regions covered by dense forests, crisscrossed by rivers flowing endlessly beneath towering mountain ranges, standing guard silently against time itself. Authorities scoured every possible location, reachable either on foot or via vehicles, capable traversing rugged terrains, yet found nothing conclusive, linking directly back to individual responsible initiating daring escapade witnessed worldwide through media coverage, spreading rapidly thanks technological advancements, connecting people globally almost instantaneously nowadays compared previous decades ago. Questions lingered unanswered long after initial investigations concluded fruitlessly regarding identity, true intentions, ultimate fate, mysterious figure, whose bold actions captivated imaginations, everywhere sparking debates, theories ranging plausible explanations, fantastical scenarios, constructed minds seeking clarity amidst ambiguity, shrouding entire incidents still today remains unsolved, mystery haunting collective consciousness, humanity reminding us sometimes life imitates art. More stranger fiction could ever dream up, creating legends live forever, memory, corridors, history books, written generations, come marvel, wonder, ponder, possibilities, endless wonders, universe holds hidden, plain sight, waiting, discovery. Next, brave soul dare, venture unknown realms, beyond known boundaries. Explore depths, heights never imagined. Before stepping stone greater journeys await those willing, embrace uncertainty, risk failure, achieve greatness, leave lasting legacy behind, inspire others, follow path, courage, determination, perseverance, overcoming adversity, achieving impossible dreams, reality, materializing visions, once thought impossible, manifest destiny, manifesting destinies, countless souls, walking earth, sharing common thread, humanity binding together, universal truth, understood spoken words, transcending language barriers, uniting hearts, minds, spirits, celebrating diversity, unity, strength, found weakness, transformed triumph, overcomes despair. Hope reignites embers, passion burns brightly eternal flame, guiding light, darkness dispels, fear replaces faith, belief, possibilities, infinite potential, limitless horizon, expands continuously ever-changing landscape. Evolution continues onward, upward, forward, always moving, never stopping, restlessly, seeking answers, questions asked, answered, raising new ones, turn cycle repeats, perpetually onwards, upwards, forwards, always. And so, the legend of the skyjacker who jumped and vanished endures a tale whispered among pilots and passengers alike whenever planes soar high above the clouds. It serves as a poignant reminder of the mysteries that continue to unfold in our skies, mysteries that challenge our understanding and ignite our imaginations. Whether this story will ever find its conclusion remains to be seen, but until then, it stands as a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and perhaps even folly. For now, we can only speculate about the fate of that enigmatic figure lost to the elements, hoping that somewhere, somehow, justice may one day prevail. Until then, the skies hold their secrets close, whispering softly to those who dare to listen. It was a quiet evening in the suburban neighborhood of Maplewood Heights, where life seemed to move at its own gentle pace. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. Birds chirped softly as they prepared for the night, and the occasional sound of car doors closing echoed through the streets. This was the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, where children played outside until dusk, and where neighbors exchanged friendly waves over white picket fences. The Johnson family lived on Elm Street, one of the quieter roads in the area. Their home was modest but charming, with ivy climbing up the walls and flower beds bursting with color. Inside, the house smelled of freshly baked cookies and warm wood polish. It was here that three women, Mrs. Johnson, her daughter Emily, and her sister-in-law Clarice, appeared without a trace one fateful evening. Let's rewind to earlier that day. Mrs. Johnson, a woman in her late 40s with kind eyes and a calm demeanor, had spent the morning tending to her garden. She loved nothing more than watching her roses bloom, and she often said it brought her peace. As she worked, Emily, her 16-year-old daughter, sat on the porch steps reading a book. Emily was bright and curious, always eager to learn new things. Her curly hair framed her face as she turned the pages intently. Nearby, Clara, a spirited woman in her early 30s, helped set up for dinner. Clara had a knack for making even the simplest meals feel special, and today was no exception. By late afternoon, the air grew slightly cooler, carrying with it the scent of pine from the nearby forest. The trio decided to take a short walk together before preparing supper. They strolled down the familiar path that led to the small park at the end of their street. The park was serene, with swings swaying gently in the breeze and trees casting long shadows across the grass. They laughed and chatted about everything from school projects to recipes they wanted to try. It was a perfect, momentous snapshot of happiness frozen in time. But then, something happened. As the clock struck 6, the trio never returned home. At first, Mr. Johnson didn't worry too much. He assumed they'd stopped by a friend's house or decided to extend their walk. But as hours passed and darkness settled over the town, concern began to creep in. By 9 o'clock, he called the police. Officers arrived promptly, flashlights cutting through the night as they searched the area. Neighbors gathered outside the Johnson residence, whispering among themselves. Some offered words of comfort, while others exchanged uneasy glances. Detective Carter, a seasoned investigator with years of experience, took charge of the case. He questioned Mr. Johnson thoroughly, asking about any unusual activity or potential threats the family might have faced. Mr. Johnson, a man of few words, struggled to provide answers. They were happy, he said quietly, his voice tinged with sadness. There was nothing out of the ordinary. The investigation unfolded slowly, revealing bits and pieces of what may have occurred. Surveillance footage from a convenience store near the park showed the three women walking toward the parking lot around 6:30 p.m. After that, there was nothing. No further sightings, no phone calls, no ransom notes. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. Days turned into weeks, and the community remained glued to the unfolding mystery. Flyers with the women's pictures appeared on every telephone pole and bulletin board. People prayed for their safe return, lighting candles in churches and holding vigils under the stars. Yet, despite all efforts, no concrete leads emerged. Meanwhile, Detective Carter delved deeper into the case. He discovered that Mrs. Johnson had received an anonymous letter a week prior to her disappearance. The letter contained cryptic messages warning her to leave while you still can. Was this a clue or merely a coincidence? Carter also learned that Clara had been involved in a minor legal dispute months ago, though nothing serious enough to suggest foul play. Each thread led to dead ends, leaving the detective frustrated yet determined. The media picked up on the story, sparking national interest. Reporters flooded Maplewood Heights, interviewing residents and broadcasting updates live. For some, the attention brought hope. Perhaps someone somewhere would recognize the women and come forward. For others, it felt invasive, disrupting the peaceful atmosphere they cherished so much. As seasons changed, the case lingered unresolved. Spring gave way to summer, and summer to fall. Leaves fell from the trees, crunching underfoot as people walked past the Johnson house. Life continued for the rest of the neighborhood, though the absence of those three women left an undeniable void. Children who once played freely now did so with watchful eyes, and parents warned them not to wander too far. Years later, the mystery persisted. Theories abounded. Some suggested abduction, others pointed to voluntary disappearance. A few believed in supernatural explanations, citing legends of the nearby woods being haunted. Regardless of speculation, one thing remained certain. The lives of everyone connected to the Johnson family had been irrevocably altered. In moments of quiet reflection, Mr. Johnson would sit alone on his porch, staring at the empty swing where Emily used to sit. He remembered her laughter, her curiosity, her dreams of becoming a writer. He thought of his wife, whose gentle hands nurtured both their home and his heart. And he missed Clara, whose energy lit up every room she entered. Though time dulled the sharp edges of grief, it never fully erased the pain. On clear nights, when the moon hung low and the crickets sang their songs, Mr. Johnson whispered into the darkness, "If you're listening, We're waiting for you." It was a crisp autumn morning in the small town of Maplewood, USA. The air carried a refreshing chill, and the golden sunlight filtered through the vibrant leaves of maple trees lining Main Street. This picturesque setting would soon become the backdrop to an unsolved mystery that haunted the community for decades. Five friends, Ethan Carter, Mia Thompson, Lucas Grayson, Emma Brooks, and Jake Harper, disappeared without explanation on a fateful Saturday afternoon. They were all 17 years old, students at Maplewood High School, known for their close-knit bond and adventurous spirits. The group had planned what they called the Great Escape, a day trip to Whispering Pines Forest, a sprawling woodland located about 20 miles outside of town. It was meant to be a fun outing filled with laughter, nature walks, and perhaps even some light camping. But it turned into something far more sinister. On that morning, Ethan's mother dropped them off near the forest entrance around 10 o'clock. She waved goodbye as her son climbed into the backseat of Jake's car, a sleek red sedan that gleamed under the sun. "Have fun, kids!" she called out cheerfully before driving away. Little did she know these would be among the last words spoken to her son. As the car disappeared down the winding road leading deeper into the forest, no one could have anticipated the events that awaited. Whispering Pines Forest was famous not only for its breathtaking scenery, but also for local legends passed down through generations. Some claimed strange lights flickered in the woods at night, while others whispered tales of unexplained noises echoing through the trees. Despite these stories, the forest remained a popular destination for hikers and adventurers alike. For the five friends, it seemed like the perfect place to create lasting memories. By noon, the group had reached their intended destination, a secluded clearing surrounded by towering pines. Here, they set up a makeshift picnic area, spreading blankets over the soft grass and unpacking snacks from cooler bags. Laughter filled the air as they joked about school life, future plans, and everything in between. According to later accounts from witnesses who briefly crossed paths with them earlier that day, they appeared happy and carefree, unaware of any impending danger. However, just after lunchtime, things began to shift subtly. Clouds rolled in unexpectedly, casting long shadows across the clearing. A cool breeze rustled through the branches above, carrying with it an eerie silence that seemed unnatural for such a lively spot. None of the friends mentioned feeling uneasy at first, but retrospectively, many wondered if this change in weather might have been a warning sign. At approximately 2 o'clock, the group decided to explore further into the forest. Armed with cameras and water bottles, they ventured beyond the familiar trails toward lesser-known paths marked only by faded signs. These trails were notoriously difficult to navigate, even for experienced explorers. Yet, fueled by youthful confidence, they pressed onward, eager to discover hidden corners of the wilderness. As the hours passed, the surroundings grew increasingly disorienting. Trees seemed taller here, their trunks twisting unnaturally. Sunlight barely penetrated the dense canopy above. Time itself felt distorted, moments stretched longer than expected, yet somehow slipped away too quickly. At 3:30, according to their watches, they paused briefly to take photos beside a moss-covered boulder. This image became one of the final pieces of evidence left behind, showing all five smiling brightly despite growing unease creeping into their expressions. Then came the moment when everything changed. One moment, they stood together, discussing whether to turn back or push forward. The next confusion erupted as each friend reported seeing peculiar movements out of the corner of their eye, shadows darting between trees, faint whispers carried by the wind. Panic began to creep in as they realized they couldn't retrace their steps accurately anymore. Maps became useless, compasses spun erratically, and GPS devices lost signal entirely. By 4 o'clock, desperation set in. Calls for help echoed through the forest, though responses were absent. Cell phones showed no bars, leaving them completely isolated. Darkness fell sooner than expected, cloaking the landscape in oppressive blackness punctuated only by the glow of flashlights. Huddled close together, the friends tried to remain calm, agreeing to wait until morning before attempting another escape route. But morning never arrived for them. Search parties organized by concerned family members combed the forest thoroughly starting Sunday morning. Helicopters hovered overhead, dogs sniffed every trail, and volunteers scoured every inch of ground. Yet, there was no trace of Ethan, Mia, Lucas, Emma, or Jaconaut, so much as a footprint or discarded item belonging to them. Their disappearance remains one of the most baffling cases in American history. In the weeks following, theories abounded. Some suggested foul play, pointing fingers at unknown assailants lurking within the forest. Others proposed supernatural explanations, citing the region's folklore regarding otherworldly entities. Scientists hypothesized natural phenomena, such as sudden sinkholes swallowing entire areas unnoticed. However, none of these theories held concrete proof. Years went by, and while new leads occasionally surfaced, none led to definitive answers. Families clung to hope, refusing to believe their loved ones were gone forever. Memorials were erected in the town square bearing photographs of the missing quintet frozen in time during happier days. Visitors often left flowers, letters, and candles beneath these tributes, hoping somehow their messages might reach those lost souls. To this day, the case of the five friends who vanished without explanation continues to intrigue researchers, writers, and anyone captivated by mysteries. Each retelling adds layers to the story, blending fact with speculation. What truly happened to Ethan, Mia, Lucas, Emma, and Jake? Did they stumble upon something beyond human comprehension, or did tragedy strike in ways we cannot yet understand? The sun was setting over the small town of Maplewood, casting long shadows across the quiet streets. It was a peaceful evening in late autumn when everything took an unexpected turn. The story begins with Emily Carter, a young woman in her mid-20s who had recently moved to this quaint town for a fresh start. She worked at